This is From Hero to Zero, a show about the misconception of the demise of the music industry. We talk to heroes to make sense of the alleged zero, the music business. Hi Paul, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Nice to be back in Switzerland.
Nice to have you back here in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So Paul Mahon, guitar player, co-founder of the Answer Northern Irish band, released 6 albums. Brand new album came out, Solace, in October.
October, yeah.
And now you're touring Europe with the Dead Daisies.
Yeah.
You've been in the business, or you started the band, co-founded the band in 2000. Now it's 2016. Where do you see the difference about being a musician in this day and age compared to when you started 16 plus minus years ago?
It's very different. I think obviously so many things have changed since 2000. You know, the internet and the influence that's had on music. Firstly starting with file sharing, and then, you know, when iTunes and now Spotify's coming, it's really changed the way people consume and buy and experience music. And I've noticed that with our audience too. So it's certainly harder to make money now. You have to be a lot more savvy, and at the same time there's many more different income streams. So if you're smart, you can get those and profit from it. But you know, it's very different from 2000. I think we caught kind of the last gasp of the old record industry with our first record. And then, everything, all bets were off, I think, from about 2006 on. Mm-hmm. Your first record came out in 2005 or 6? Summer of 6, yeah.
Summer of 6, exactly. However, you still sold many physical copies,
yes,
from what my research at least told me. Why do you think that was? Although you were a new band, basically, I mean, with your debut album, why do you think it still worked? Because many artists who released albums then, they complained that their sales went down.
Yeah.
Well, it was your first album.
I think for us, we were lucky with the first one because it was a good time for rock music. Kind of, we call it the new school of rock from about 2004 on. You had The Darkness were all over mainstream radio. The underground bands like the Datsuns were breaking through. And then you had a whole sort of groundswell of bands. It was ourselves, Blackstone Cherry, Airborne, some others that aren't around now, Tokyo Dragons, Glitterati. Lots of different, like, major labels were investing in it. And I think it reached some kids as well. It was new music to, teenagers back then. And people were still buying physical copies then. And with us, part of our audience was, our core audience was maybe slightly older, and they like to have a physical copy. They like to buy vinyls, they like the CD, and still a lot of the fans were coming from that old school where you go to the record store, you buy it, and you go home in the bus or whatever, and you're excited to play it once you get home, and it wasn't as instant. And I think you maybe invested more in the record, and people were still into that musical experience and still buying. And I think we made a good record too, and we got a lot of good support back then. We played with Whitesnake, Alter Bridge, Aerosmith, The Stones. So we got exposed to a big audience, and I think certainly the first record that everyone seemed to buy it.
Do you think that was important to bring your brand, your name, to new audiences? Do you think that was crucial, not only important, but?
I think so. Yeah, certainly on the first record, it was very important. It definitely, you could see when we played with Whitesnake, there was a sales spike in the records. When we did the Aerosmith shows, it was, went up like 200%. Same with the Stones. So it definitely had a knock-on effect in that way. And then everyone, I think our name became a lot of people knew about it. There was a lot of hype about the band then. And especially with the AC/DC tour, that opened a lot of doors. We got to play Letterman in the States. We were getting on national TV and radio back home. So that opened a lot of doors that would have been closed otherwise. And there was kind of, I think, a negative side of that was that because we did so much AC/DC, we did that for 13 months non-stop. You know, a lot of people still think of us as that band that supported AC/DC. So I think the last few records we've been trying to step out of that shadow and you know, become a headline band in our own right. And especially with Solace, we're kind of pushing down that direction again.
And many claim that the internet opens up even more opportunities for bands. Some others even say the internet is a curse and a bliss, or can be both.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you see the internet for you as an artist?
Obviously, I think it's really good with a sort of fan connection you get. It's very instant, and it's you know, like we could tweet this interview right now, and you know, people will watch it online straight away, and it has a very yeah, it's very instant. But also I think it can be quite disposable as well. I think things are less special, there's less mystique. And I think rock and roll used to kind of thrive on that mystique. And nowadays you can't do anything, or it's, you know, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. There's videos up on YouTube, so you're kind of always, you're rarely off the record in a way. So that can be quite tough. But you know, we're a natural band, so I don't mind people saying that so much. I think in terms of, yeah, there's other good aspects to it. You know, Kickstarter campaigns, the likes of Pledge Music, and that kind of thing, where you can fund the record yourself, and you don't need a record label anymore. That's certainly, you know, that freedom's, I think, very positive. And in some ways we've benefited from that too in the last two records. We've done a pledge campaign, and it's opened up additional funds for marketing and to put us in places again that under a modern sort of record label budget you wouldn't get there. So there's, you know, once you sort of harness the power of the internet, it can have positive aspects too.
One revenue stream which is scrutinized a lot is Spotify or royalties from YouTube.
Yes.
There are pros and cons, and different artists see it differently. What is your opinion on that?
Obviously, we're kind of one of the smaller bands, so we're not seeing much from those revenue streams. And yes, I think certainly Spotify needs to up the royalties for what they do. They kind of, in a way, I know they do promote bands, and it gives people a chance to find music they wouldn't normally find, but I think the royalties could go up a little bit. For example, you know, I know certain territories it's become tied in with mobile phone contracts. So obviously people are maybe paying an extra premium for their mobile phone, but you know, they're getting Spotify for free, and that sends out a message of that music is for free as well, I think. And certainly, you know, teenagers and kids, it's you know, that message comes that you know, you don't have to pay for example, even my nephew, he was talking about the new Metallica record, and he's a massive fan of the band, and has gone back and experienced everything from Kill 'Em All to Death Magnetic, and you know, he's only 12 years old, so he was very excited about this new record, and he said to me, you know, so excited about this, I'm going to pre-order it. Then I thought, oh, it's just going to be on Spotify, so I'll just get it there. So, you know, that's someone who's excited by it, and that's their attitude. So across the masses, you can imagine how that multiplies.
Sure.
So I think something needs to be given back a little bit.
Sure. Nowadays, or back in the days, you counted physical record sales, vinyl, cassettes, CDs. Nowadays, very often we count streams or views. if you could choose, you could have more, or what do you prefer, to have more physical sales or have many more views? Would you trade views for sales?
Yes, I would trade views for sales. I'm old school. I came from those days of, I caught the last days of vinyl, I guess. I was into a little bit more CDs, but yeah, I used to be very excited about having physical copies. And certainly, you know, for bands at our level, you see more of the money on a physical sale than a streamer review. I think in these days there's no perfect method, you know, but hopefully it'll even out, and you know, everyone will get their fair share.
Sure. Last question. I was reading an interview of you, and I saw this quote which was beautiful. You were saying that in regards to rock is dead, I think it's quite healthy. I don't think it's rock that's dead, it's music as a whole that is dying, not due to the quality of the bands and the artists out there, but just the way the industry is going at the moment. Do you think the industry is in an actual demise? Do you think it's going the wrong way?
I don't think, I think kind of since the internet came into the equation, and you know, Spotify and Deezer and iTunes, I think kind of the industry's still catching up a little bit of how to make best use of the different medias. It's kind of, I think it's maybe, you know, I wasn't alive in the 60s or the 70s, which was kind of, I'm told, the heyday of, you know, where commerce and creativity met in the middle, and it was good for everyone. But maybe since then, the industry has always had a slight decline, I think, in terms of, you know, when they tried to, I think they became very preoccupied with chasing the latest trend from the 80s onwards, certainly from, I think, the hair metal days. And, you know, that's kind of permeated the industry ever since then. And with the new sort of medias, that's been accentuated. So I think it's just the way major labels deal with music. They just want the latest thing to be successful. They throw, you know, as little money as they can to make it successful, rather than, you know, there's a lot of great bands out there. There'll always be great artists. You just have to go and find them, and you know, hopefully they're lucky enough to be successful, and they can go and, you know, play big shows and that they deserve, and people can enjoy it. So I think maybe I was in a funny mood that day or something if I said that.
I wasn't criticizing. It just struck my attention when I saw it.
I don't think it's terrible. I think there's always enough good music that you know, the good music outweighs the bad things in the industry.
Sure. So beautiful. Well, Paul, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. It was really, really interesting. All the best with the new record and with the rest of the tour.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thanks.